listening to Filling the Storehouse podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Stuart. And we want to walk with you on the journey to living the abundant life through faith, family, and freedom. Our goal is to refine our why while helping you find yours. Together, achieve our best and highest purpose. In the end, we'll drive each other to intentionally fill our storehouse.
There's more potential today than at any point in history, and there are more self-help resources, parenting books, phones with unlimited capacity, and literal libraries at our fingertips, too. And we also have more quote-unquote friends, connections, followers, or whatever you want to call the photographs staring back at us through the screen than ever before in history. Yet every single day, we miss another opportunity to turn all that potential into kinetic action that drives us towards our highest and best. And we are lonelier than ever before.
Yeah, man. When we analyzed our own lives, we realized that we needed more fellowship, more connectedness, more community, like real friends, not just like our Facebook friends. And we're surrounded by an amazing network. Like we have an amazing group of men and women that are in our lives, but we still desired to be a part of a thriving community. So we knew other men felt the same way.
And with that gap that we identified, the Storehouse Mastermind was born, and we built a community of men striving to become the best husbands, the best fathers, friends, and leaders possible. And the best part is that in this mastermind, you'll be significantly challenged by the curriculum, but even more so by the exceptional group of amazing men walking with you on your journey.
Yeah, so go to our new website, storehouse310.com. There's a mastermind tab on there. Go to that immediately. Click the join now button. And we look forward to having you in the Storehouse Mastermind to grow and serve together. All right. What's up, everybody? Hey, this is Stu and David. And we've got another exciting guest today on our Filling the Storehouse podcast. Hey, this one's a cool one. Rod, I actually came to one of your events when you were here in Denver a couple years ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was pre-COVID. And
right.
It was great.
Oh, that was a special event because my mom was there in her wheelchair and my brothers were there. And I'm behind the freaking curtain crying like a big freaking baby because my mom's the reason I got into real estate. And I had to pull myself together to come out. So that was a real special event for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We never cry on this podcast.
It's all men. I know. It's
Rod,
it's warriors. I get it.
Don't let Stu lie to you. We're known for being giant crybabies in general in life and on our podcast and in most of the things we do. So if you feel the urge to cry, hey, you are in good company here.
Listen,
we will probably join you.
I'll be good. I'll hold it together. Okay.
Well, Rod, thanks for having us, or thanks for coming on, man. I was really surprised when when one of your teammates came and emailed us and was like, "Wow, that's super cool. I know Rod. That's awesome that he wants to come on the show." So for our audience, for our listeners, most will know who Rod Khleif is, but for those that might not, give us your story, man. Give us your background and where you are now.
Sure. Well, happy to. By the way, did you enjoy the boot camp? Let me ask you that.
It was good. Yeah, it was good.
You liked it? Good.
Hopefully some of our listeners will get to come to the next one.
Well, that reason I ask is I've got another one coming up in Denver. Yeah. So, I'll tell you peeps all about it. It's the end of July, and I'll give you guys a hell of a deal if you want to come. But so I'm an immigrant, and I'm going to go back quite a ways because I think it'll lend framework to what I want to talk about and add value to you guys or to your listeners on this show here today. And so I immigrated when I was 6. I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills, and immigrated with my brother Albert, my mother's Vansha, ended up in Denver, Colorado. And when we first got there, we didn't have much. In fact, we really struggled. I remember eating expired food, shopping at an expired food store because that's all we could afford, drinking powdered milk because it was, with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk, and, wearing clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army, literally all the way through junior high school until I finally got disgusted, lied about my age at Burger King when I was 14 because I was tall and got a job flipping burgers so that I could buy my own clothes. Now, I'm sure you've got listeners that had it harder than I did, maybe even have it harder now, but I knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. And we were just talking about her, and I'll explain why that was such an emotional moment for me at that boot camp you went to. But, she was an entrepreneur and still, well, she was, yeah, for sure was. She's almost 90 now. But she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. We always had a house full of kids, and she was an entrepreneur with that money. So she invested in the stock market successfully, but she also invested in real estate. And her first real estate acquisition was the house directly across the street from us. She purchased when I was 14 for about 30 grand. And when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep, that it had gone up in value that much. I'm like, what? You made 20 grand? You didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate.
Yeah.
So I got my real estate license right when I turned 18 in Colorado, broker's license, actually. I could have my own office, which they allowed you to do back then with education. Now they got smart and you need some experience before they'll cut you loose to own your own office. But my first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. My second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10X my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy that I worked with. He was actually a broker. I was smart enough to go work with another broker, and I was dating his daughter. And he taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, and how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and your psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the mechanical stuff we talk about on our podcasts here. It's the do and it's the keep doing. And so, fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I rented long-term. I had 500 in Denver at one time, actually. And, and I own, thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might be like, wow. And I was like, wow. And I got a head so freaking big, I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a real estate god. Well, when that happens, God of the universe will give you a nice little beat down. Well, That was 2008. I lost that and a lot more. I lost $50 million in 2008, conservatively, 2008 and 9. And so what I'm known for talking about on my podcast and on my boot camps and so on and so forth with my coaching students, my warriors, is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. But then maybe as importantly, or even more importantly, maybe is the mindset it took to recover from losing $50 million. So, if you guys are okay with that, maybe I can drill down on some of those concepts. Should we do that?
Please do.
Okay.
Please
all right.
do.
Fantastic. All right. Well, people ask me, how did you recover from losing the 50 million? And what it was reassociating with what I wanted and why I wanted it. Because, when something negative happens, it's really easy to focus on the pain. In fact, we're pretty much wired to do that, to wallow in it and live it and relive it. And, God forbid it becomes your identity, which happens sometimes for people, or your vehicle for success, and it becomes your identity. And if that vehicle fails, then you're a failure. So be very careful of that. Those of you listening, not to ever let your vehicle be your identity. Vehicle meaning, if it, investing in the stock market or in a business or real estate either, it's just your vehicle. And if the vehicle fails, you failed. I call them seminars. You'll have a seminar, but you're not a failure. Okay. And just so you know, I figured this out a couple of years ago. I was blown away, but I've built 27 businesses. Several have been worth tens of millions of dollars. Most are spectacular flaming seminars. We fail our way to success.
I love that.
An entrepreneur is like a shark. We only die if we stop swimming. And, so, in fact, as an aside, I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx, the woman's undergarments, and hold everything together. Sarah Blakely. She's a really cool human being. Well, she started with $5,000 and I think she just sold it for several billion. And she told me to mastermind we were both at, that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, what have you failed at this week? And I thought, what a freaking awesome question to ask your kids. And I wish I'd have known that when my kids were impressionable. But anyway, so, if you come to one of my boot camps, like Stu knows this, the first thing we do, the first hour and a half is goal setting on steroids. Because how the hell do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You got to know what you want with clarity, because you've got to create what Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, calls a burning desire. You got to want it, because that's the only way you're going to take action. That's the only way you're going to push through fear or limiting beliefs or get uncomfortable. The comfort zone's a nice warm place, and we all know nothing freaking grows there, right? And many of us have these limiting belief systems. When I immigrated to this country, I didn't speak English, and my mom threw me right into school. I was 6 years old, and I discovered what bullies were for the first time. So I got my butt kicked on a regular basis because I hadn't learned how to fight back yet. And then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, God bless her, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, the Lederhosen. So I got an ass kicking again the next day. And,
That's
you know,
awesome.
and then my mom, you know, thinking she was helping me, if the bullies chased me home, would chase them off with a fly swatter. So ass kicking the next day again, you know. And I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough, you know, and I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? And, you know, and a lot of people have these belief systems, these, you know, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not analytical enough, or I'm not old enough, young enough, whatever. There's a reason that you know, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. There's a reason that the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99.9% of them are just that BS. But anyway, back to goals. So that's the first thing we do. And let me describe that process if I could, guys, because I think it'll add value. Now, you know, if you can come to my boot camp, and I'll tell you how you can do that. You can come for literally $197. It's a screaming deal if you want to come for 3 days. And my boot camp's not a big sales pitch. It's just literally training for 3 days. And so, you know, if you can do that, you'll get in touch with your goals. But if you can't make the boot camp, let me describe the process. Let me also tell you, if you can't make it, I did this on New Year's Day this year. I did this goal setting workshop with music and a guide you can download. If you go to rodslinks.com, rods plural, links plural.com, it's right there at the bottom, you know, and you know, and I'll guide you through it. But let me describe it if I could. So what you want to do is you want to pick an hour when you have a lot of energy, okay? You don't want to do it, you know, after a big meal. You want to make sure you're well hydrated, and you just sit down and write down everything you could ever possibly want in life. All the stuff, okay? You know, the houses, the cars, the boats, the jet skis, the planes, you know, and take the lid off your brain. Imagine that if you write it down, you're going to get it, which is not outside the realm of reality, because what that does is it triggers something in your brain called your reticular activating system. And that's the word, that's the description of this subconscious filter in your brain. You're not conscious of it, that points you in the direction of what it thinks you're interested in. And the greatest example is when you first buy a car. You never really notice them, and then you buy the car and you see them everywhere, right? That's your reticular activating system at work. And it's the same way with your goals. So, you know, and take the lid off your brain. If you want it, write it down. Like if you want a private island, a yacht, a jet, just write it down, because that starts that process. So write down everything you want. Write down how much cash flow you want from your investments, say in 3 years and 10 years. Write down how much money you want in the bank in 3 years and 10 years. You know, you're in case the, you know, what hits the fan fund. You know, and once you can't think of another thing, I want you to next write down everything you want to do in this lifetime. So it's not just the stuff, it's everything you want to do, be, or have. So write down, you know, maybe you want to, you know, the places you want to visit. You know, I've got a travel vision board behind my green screen here. You know, something, you know, the places you want to visit. Maybe you want to write a book, you know, maybe bucket list stuff. I've got a friend climbing every mountain over 14,000 feet. Me, I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane a few years ago. I'll never freaking do it again. I'm sure you guys have done it, but no, you know, also write down everything you want to learn in this lifetime. You know, you want to learn a foreign language, write that down. You want to learn a skill set, write that down. You want to learn multifamily, for God's sakes, come to my freaking boot camp. In fact, let me just plug it real quick. So it's 3 days, the end of July, 29th, 30th, and 31st. Like I said, you can come, I'll give you a code to come for $197. Price maybe upwards of $700, but if you use this code, you'll be able to get in for $197. It's Rod Friend as one word. Just remember that, Rod Friend. Now, to get to the website, text my name, Rod, to 72345. So if you're driving, just text Rod to 72345 so you don't miss it, but just remember the code Rod Friend. Or you can go to rodindenver.com but just remember the code Rod Friend, because that code will also get you a couple of awesome bonuses. My deal evaluator software and my document library. And those two alone are worth 10 times the 197. And so listen, and it's not a sales pitch. I talk about my coaching for about 30 minutes. If you want to meet with my team, you can, but that's it. The rest of the time is all training, and Stu can attest that. I mean, it's drinking through a freaking fire hose, right?
Yeah, it is for sure. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you. So, you know, and you learn every aspect of the business. And guys, right now, the soup is about to hit the fan. Okay. And I mean, we're in a recession already. I mean, we're technically already in the recession. Jamie Dimon says it's looking like it could be a hurricane. Bank of America just said we're technically in it, and Feds should raise the rates today again, and I'm expecting a big raise again, and so there's going to be incredible opportunity. Okay, in 2008 and 9, I was hiding under a rock, and so I missed it. I'm not missing this one, and when I tell you it's coming, and there will be opportunity in this business. It could be the biggest transfer of wealth we've ever seen so far in our lifetime, depending on how bad it is. But there's no question there'll be opportunity. Now, if you're trying to learn this business in the midst of it, it's going to be too late. You need to learn it right now. Okay. And that's why, if you can make it, just come, especially for that number. And, and I've got a hotel link in the at the website. I think it's like $115 a night for the room or something like that. Don't quote me, but it's real close to that. And Denver is United's hub, so you can fly there nonstop from anywhere. So it's really a no-brainer if you're interested in this business. And we go through building a team, picking a market, evaluating the market, finding all the deals you can find, raising all the money you need for those deals, financing them, underwriting them, due diligence, syndication, joint venture, property management, on and on. And of course, if you know me, I'm going to spend time on mindset. There's a reason, my coaching students alone are somewhere in the 60 to 70,000 units owned range. And I've only been teaching 4.5 years. My boot camp attendees, it's probably way beyond that. But the point is, you'll get what you need to get started in this business if you can come. And so again, text Rod to 72345, use the code RODFriend. So anyway, if you're going to build, you want to do a skill set, write that down, whatever you want to learn as well. So back to goals. The last thing is write down who you want to help. Okay. We will do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. And again, this is the fuel. This is what's going to get your butt up early in the morning, stay up late, work Saturdays, grind for a few years like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. And so write down who you're going to help. Like I bought my parents a house on a canal when my dad was alive, took them on cruises, bought them a car. Who do you want to do things for? Write that down. Okay. And once you can't think of another things, there's just a couple more steps. I need you to put a time limit on each goal. I need you to write down how many years you think it's going to take you to achieve it. And don't overthink this. If you're analytical, don't stay in your head. If you're in your head, you're dead. Right? Just put it down on paper. Same thing with your goals. Okay. Write them down. Don't think you can do it in your head. But anyway, put a 1, a 3, a 5, even a 10 or a 20 by your goals. Recognizing that as human beings, we will overestimate what we can do in a year and massively underestimate what we can do in 5, 10, 20 years. And I'll give you an example of this. And I want to pre-frame this example by telling you that I'm not bragging. I just want to inspire you. So please know that. I just want to share some of my own story. And it's not me being braggadocious. I just want to hopefully juice you to realize the potential here. So again, as it speaks to how long it takes you to achieve something, when I lived in Denver, I knew I wanted to live on the beach, and there's no beach in Denver. So I would visualize the palm trees and the surf and the sand and the waves and all that. 20 years later, I built this 10,000 square foot, $8 million mansion on the beach. I owned the beach on one side. I had my boats on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay. It was a slice through an island. And that was unthinkable when I was 18. But I dreamt about it, I visualized it, and I made it happen, and you can do the same thing. So again, don't limit yourself when you're doing your goals. So you put a number by each goal, and now I want you to pick your number one goal, okay? That goal that when you achieve it, you're like, oh my God, you've arrived when you achieve that goal, okay? Put that on a separate sheet of paper. And again, if you go to rodslinks.com, there's a guide you can download, but you can use paper for this. Put that number one goal on a separate sheet of paper. Now I want you to pick your top 3 one-year goals. Put those on a separate sheet of paper. So you've got 4 goals, and leave room in between them because you're going to write below them. At this point, you're ahead of 99.9% of the people on the freaking planet that spend more time planning a birthday party than they do designing their lives. Okay. That will do a New Year's resolution that's freaking forgotten by February 15th. Okay. So you're ahead of 99.9% of the people on the planet, but there's a couple more quick steps. I need you to write down underneath each one of those goals why it is an absolute freaking must for you to achieve it. Not a should. It has to happen. Okay. And use emotionally charged words like amazing, incredible, beautiful, spectacular, whatever's going to juice you, write that down. Okay. Because words are very, very powerful. And you want to use them because they're going to motivate you and inspire you to take action. So you might say, so I can show my kids what incredible success looks like. So I can show my wife, what it means to live a life of amazing abundance. So we can have unbelievable freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want, bring whoever we want, whatever's going to juice you, write that down. Okay. And once you've got some reasons why underneath each one of those goals that has to happen, I want you to also shift gears for a second and put some freaking pain in there. Okay. And make it hurt. Okay. So, you might, and what I'm talking about when I say pain is, I mean, if you don't achieve the goals. So, you might say, so I don't feel like a failure. So I don't fail my kids, so I don't fail my spouse, so that, I don't live a life of regret, for example. Why? Because as human beings, we will do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. And again, this is the fuel, guys. This is what's going to get you to take that action. Okay. So you've got positive and negative reasons why. The reason the negative is important, I'll give you an example of this. There's a nurse in Australia named Bronnie Ware. So she was a hospice nurse. Okay. She took care of patients when they were about to die. And she asked them a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You know what the number one regret was? Not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything freaking worse than that, okay? So again, if you fear failure, for God's sakes, fear regret much more. Fear being in the same freaking place you are right now, a year from now, or 2 years from now, unless you absolutely love where you are right now, okay? So again, positive, negative reasons why. Last thing, go get pictures. Or make declarations, put them around you, do things to get this in your vision. And so I'll give you some examples. I'll give you a public example. The actor Jim Carrey, when he was the comedian. When he was flat broke, wrote himself a check for $10 million. And he used to go up by the Hollywood sign and he would visualize cashing it. And that's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. I'll give you another example, more recent, Demi Lovato. When she was unknown 12 years ago, posted on social media, one day I'm going to sing the national anthem in the Super Bowl. One day. Go see who sang the national anthem the time before last. I'll give you some personal examples for me. When I was 18, I knew I had to have a 4-door car to show people houses, right? Because that's what you do when you're in real estate. Well, I bought this bone ugly Ford Granada, just a piece of crap, bench seat in the front. And I told you about the guy I worked for, and I was dating his daughter, and he had 2 Corvettes. And he let me drive one. And I was like, oh my, because I took her out in it, and the girlfriend, and oh my God, I'm like, this is amazing. So I got a picture of a Corvette out of a magazine. This is before you could spell internet. And I put it on the visor of that Granada. So every time I sat in that piece of crap, it was right there in front of me, that Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Corvette, beautiful red Corvette. A couple more examples. Again, not bragging. This stuff doesn't even interest me anymore, but I want to juice you. So this is when the TV show Magnum PI was out. Actor's name was Tom Selleck. It's really funny. I just saw a Tom Selleck movie last night, and I was telling my wife, there he is. She didn't know who he is. But anyway, yeah.
What? Do you know
Stone.
Tom
It was
Selleck
something
was?
Stone. Tom Selleck, something Stone. He was like a detective or something. It was a good show. It was a good movie. I guess there's several of them. But anyway, I digress. So he drove this Ferrari 308 in the detective show that he was in. And I'm like, holy shit. That's the first time I'd seen an exotic car. I'm like, oh my God. And I got a picture of that actual car, put on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati, looked just like it. Last example. I'm the guy that always
real
wanted
quick though, before you go on.
Yeah.
And I just want to know if you've ever seen this. I am very challenged to grow a mustache. Can I mindset my way to a Tom Selleck mustache?
You know what? With that head, it'd be a porn mustache, dude. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, so anyway, So I got a Maserati look just like that Ferrari. Literally, you can't tell the difference in the front. Last example. In fact, I was just watching Scarface, and there was an example of this car in the movie Scarface, the one I had. It only made 118 of them. And so I'm like, holy shit, that's my car. And I took a picture of it. But anyway, so last example, I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. And, I had the posters in my room growing up. And what's crazy is my son collected models of exotic cars. And I wish I had it. I should have got it from my other building here in the compound. But he had about 40 of them, Ferraris and McLarens and Porsches and all that. And he had a model of the exact same color Lamborghini and style that I ended up getting, which I wrecked. But anyway, so get pictures. In fact, I'll show you something. Do you guys throw these on YouTube?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me show you something. This is my planner. It's on today. In the back of this thing, I've got pictures that have been in here for 20 freaking years. Okay. 22 years, actually. Now, the first pictures, my children are 30 and 26. The first pictures are pictures of my kids when they were young. These are my gratitude pictures. Why? Because everything you bring into life, you do it through gratitude. Everything you visualize, you call it prayer, whatever you do to manifest things is done through gratitude. So these are my gratitude pictures. Okay. Then I've got pictures of the stuff that I wanted. This top picture looks just like that house I built on the beach. I had 10-foot high glass like that, travertine floors. This is before I ever built it. Now I lost that in all the craziness. Now I live in a compound. I've got 6 buildings. I've got a big main house, 2-bedroom guest house on the water. I've got a media building with a big exercise facility and a theater room and a video studio that I built. And because God's got a sense of humor, I can see my old house across the bay. It's literally right across the bay from where I live here now. But look at these pictures at the bottom. You see the white walls in those pictures? Can you see those white walls, awesome. Those stone walls? That's my backyard. Is that crazy? There's the same white wall that's in these pictures. Guys, this stuff works. I know some of you are like, oh, this is so freaking foofy for me. Well, big mistake, because this shit works, okay? And then I've got pictures of stupid crap like watches. I got a few $100,000 worth of watches. That's still a vice. I will admit to that one. But there's the Lamborghini before I ever got it. Mine was black, but there's a picture of a red one there. The Rolls Royce, the Bentley. Again, stuff that may not interest you, doesn't even interest me anymore, but it did back then. And I got it all because I had pictures. So get pictures, put them around you, get screensavers. Put it on a screensaver, put it on the wall around you, do whatever you have to do to have it in your vision, because that's how you bring this stuff into existence. So again, it starts with that burning desire. It starts with that, that you have to have that, but then you have to make a decision. And the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. If you're going to attack the island, you're burning your ships because you're taking their damn ships home. That's a freaking decision. It's not a dipping the toe in the water. It's not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It is freaking done. Okay. And then when you do that, you're like a train on a track. And, if you don't make that firm decision, you're going to get knocked off track. So it starts with the decision. And then, then candidly, you have to make that first step. And in the real estate business, we see in the real estate business, because it's like the law of the first deal. It's the hardest, it's the scariest, it takes the longest. I see it with my students all the time. They get one and, it maybe took them 6 months, 8 months. They're bitching or moaning, and I get them back on track, or even a year sometimes. And they get that one closed. Next thing I know, they got 5 or 4 or something. I'm like, what the heck just happened? It's that first deal, and those of you that are analytical, that listen or watch this, and you have to, I know you have to check off every box, and you can't do that in this business and most businesses. You have to take that first step in faith. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you got to take it. And that could be the most important step of your life. Okay. But you got to take it. Just remember this. You can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights only seeing 50 feet in front of you. And you'll make it. You may have some obstacles, but other people have done it before you. It's the same way with your goals, but you got to get started. Okay. So, it starts with that first step. The next thing I want to mention is focus. And if you're watching, Stu and David, you're a leader. There's no question. And right now, more than ever, the world needs freaking leaders. Don't get me started on the political environment and the freaking fake news and all the crap that's out there right now. Just remember this, the news is not there to inform us. It's there to startle us and scare us. Okay. And a lot of it's BS. Hopefully you're realizing that now, but, so right now, more than ever as a leader, though, your focus is critical, and whatever you focus on is going to get larger. And if you're focused on that crap, that negative crap, that's what's going to get larger. So you want to stand guard at your mind. You want to bring in the good stuff right now. Okay. I'll give you an example of good stuff on my podcast called Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I do a clip every week called Own Your Power. Okay. It's a motivational clip. It's 5 minutes with music now. And you give me 5 minutes a week, I'll juice you. Okay. I'll get you juice for the week. And there's hundreds of them there. I just was telling the guys before we started, I'm on we posted my 700th episode last week, and we broke awesome. 13 million downloads. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of that. And, it's funny. I never planned to do anything like this. I started the podcast just to add value. In fact, you listen to the first few episodes, you hear me say, I'll never sell you anything, because I never planned to. I just wanted to add value and help. And now I'm a liar because I sell courses and coaching and all sorts of stuff, but I just love it. I hit 1 million downloads. I'm like, okay, I probably should do something with this. And it just, it's fun. You want to make God laugh, you tell him your plans, right? But anyway, so focus is so freaking critical right now. And, and you can dilute your focus too. I remember back in Denver, I had all these different businesses because I had the shiny penny syndrome. I had yogurt shops, I had vending carts, I had a carpet cleaning business, I was doing real estate, everything suffered. I got rid of everything except the real estate, and I bought 500 houses in that run because I was focused. So focus is, the most successful people on the planet have the most honed focus. But again, you got to bring in the good stuff. If you're focused on the negative, that's what gets bigger. I have people call me and say, I'm trying to get out of student loan debt. And I'm like, wrong statement. How do you make so much money that the debt's irrelevant, right? They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. And you get what I'm trying to say. And so it's critical that you manage your focus. And I don't know about you guys, but I'll even do this. I'll be sitting watching a movie at home, and I'll be scrolling through my freaking social media and on my phone. And what's bad about that is your brain is making these little micro decisions every split second, which kills your freaking focus. I don't listen to many podcasts. I listen to really two for the most part, Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss, for both sides of the political aisle for the most part, although even Joe's starting to go over the other side a little bit. But Tim Ferriss, really interviews some of the best in the world. Okay. The best athletes, Michael Phelps, best actors, Arnold and Jamie Foxx, Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, billionaires like Ray Dalio. And he deconstructs their success, their path to success. And I started to hear a pattern. Most of them freaking meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? So focus is super, super important. Just a couple more quick points. I know I'm kind of droning on and on here. Hopefully, if you guys want to interrupt me and ask a question or whatever, but I just got a couple more quick points here. Okay. All right. It's critical that you play to your strengths. Okay. Especially in the multifamily real estate game, but really anywhere, because your strengths are your greatest assets. Okay. Don't try to maximize your weaknesses. You will hit success much faster if you maximize your strengths, and then you hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses. Some of the best teams that I ever see in multifamily is where people are playing to their strengths. Maybe it's somebody that's analytical with someone that's outgoing, and that's a very common dynamic, because if you're playing to your strengths, you're going to love what you do. And if you love what you do, you're going to be passionate about it. And if you're passionate about it, you'll be able to influence other people to work with you. Critically important. So how do you find your strengths? You can do a Myers-Briggs profile or a DISC profile, DISC, or just ask your friends. They'll tell you what you're strong and weak at. But it's important that you play to your strengths, because when you do, first of all, you're going to love it. You'll never work another day in your life. And when you love what you do, success is inevitable. Again, and the passion piece is just a huge piece. One of the last things I want to talk, it's a couple quick things. One is the next one is peer group. Okay. Who you hang out with. You show me your two best friends, I'll show you who you are financially, your health, your relationships, everything, because you are who you hang out with. And so it's really critical that you proactively, choose who you hang out with. Most people default to the people they went to school with or the people they work with, and they may not have, they may be afraid of your dreams. They may be afraid of losing you. They may have fear or limiting beliefs themselves. They might be jealous if you're successful. They might feel like they're less than if you're successful, and sometimes it's family. So I got to tell you, love your family, but choose your freaking peers, who you allow to influence you. Super important. I remember when I was losing everything, I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. It's a mastermind group, a very expensive one, like over $100,000. And then this was 08 and 09. I was losing everything. And there were people in there that were thriving through the crash. Okay. They were killing it. And they're like, okay, 50 million, get up, see, and go back to work. So That's who you want to be around, right? You want to be around people that are going to push you and motivate you and congratulate you and validate you and support you. And so, again, that's why my warrior coaching program is so freaking successful. Like I said, probably pushing 70,000 units that we know of. And most of those units were done between warriors. And, if you go on my warrior Facebook group, the closed Facebook group, we have, there's usually a dozen posts a day, people congratulating each other, throwing successes up there. And that's what you want to be around, people that want you to succeed. Okay. Super, super important. You don't want to be around people that are going to hold you back. So if you, go in your local market there, join meetup groups, do what you have to do to get around people that want more out of life. And if you come to my boot camp, there'll be, upwards of 1,000, if we hit our projections, there'll be hundreds or already, hundreds and hundreds that have already signed up, but there's going to be all motivated people. And by the way, this business is a team sport, like I said, and you're going to need to network, and there will be incredible networking opportunities there for sure. But again, if you can't make it, then do it locally, but get around people that want more out of life. All right. The next thing I want to mention is not giving up, especially, listen, focus is going to also be critical in this recession that's coming, which, could be worse than a recession. And again, I believe there's incredible opportunity coming. A lot of people believe that as well, but it's going to require you to maintain your focus, not get scared, not buy into the crap that the media put out there, like they did in 08 and 09, saying real estate was going to be dead for 10 years. Hell, multifamily rents exceeded 2006 levels within 3 years of that major crash. Okay. That's why multifamily is such an awesome asset class. But so don't get sucked into that. That's why focus is so important, but so is tenacity and not giving up, staying power, endurance, stubbornness. I'm going to tell you, tenacity beats talent almost all the time. There's a book called 3 Feet from the Gold, a true story about a miner that gave up 3 feet from a major gold mine, and someone else came in there and became a millionaire. Tenacity is getting knocked down 99 times and getting up 100. I told you, I've had 27 businesses. Most of them have been seminars, right? Failures. It's courage, it's resolve, it's backbone, it's determination, it's fortitude. That's what you've got to have. You never, ever, ever give up. In fact, I've got a sign on my desk from Winston Churchill. Right there, never, ever, ever give up. And so, that's the mantra you've got to have. Now, the last thing I'll talk about, and we can go a different direction if you guys want, but is I talked about gratitude and how important it is. Like, I've got a gratitude vision board behind me. It's got pictures of my kids, my foundation, things like that, my students, because everything you bring into your life comes from gratitude. Gratitude strengthens your immune system, makes your heart stronger, lowers your blood pressure, brings you closer to your spirituality. And so it's important that you implement it. But let me share one last thing here while I'm on a roll here. It relates to goals. Okay. I told you about that house I built on the beach. Okay. I worked for that thing for 20 years. Now let me describe it to you. Okay. Just to give you an idea of this place. I told you it was a Gulf to Bay, beach on one side, bay on the backside. Elevator, wine cellar, giant, really wide waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the waterfall to get into the pool. Pools and magazines. It was spectacular. Big spiral staircase up to the middle of the house. I'll land the plane with this. On the second floor, there were aquariums that I had custom built around the staircase. Cost me almost $200,000. So that gives you an idea of the house. So 2 months after I moved in, so I worked for this thing for 20 years. 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating up in the pool at night. Pool's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lighting. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which is really what it was. It was to prove the world I was good enough. Remember, I said, how can I show them I'm good enough? Well, that's what I did to try to prove that. And I got depressed. And I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I was really freaking bummed. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I've just achieved success like times 10,000. I had a beautiful family inside sleeping, had all the toys and stupid shit, the Maserati and Mercedes, a couple of Mercedes and the boats and the toys. And when I look back on it, and I had a beautiful home, of course, when I look back on it, there were several things going on. That's what I want to share with you. One of them relates to goals. should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it, right? Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. I didn't have a vision for the future. I didn't know what I was going to do next. So that was one piece. The second thing is it's never about the goals. You need the goals to push you. You need to create that burning desire. But, like they say, the happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat, right? You need them, but really happiness comes from progress and growth. And I didn't know what I was going to do to progress and grow, but the last thing, the big thing was I'd been totally focused on me, show the world I'm good enough, show the world I matter, Rod, And so I went and bought some books, and one of them was a book from Tony Robbins. And I'm like, man, I really like this. I only got about halfway through, and I signed up for a boot camp that he was having in Fort Lauderdale. This is 22 years ago. And I went and saw him and saw that he fed families for the holidays. I mean, I got a lot out of it. If you can see him live, just go do it. Trust me on that. But I spent 20 years following him around the planet. But 22 years ago, I found he fed families for the holidays. I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. So I went back and I called my brother in Denver because I was going to visit him in Denver for Thanksgiving and my family there. And I said, let's feed 5 families. So he called his church, found out who really needed help. And we bought food and toys for the kids and frozen turkeys and all this fuss. Had a lot of fun buying the stuff. And then the third family changed my life, guys. I go up to this house, and it's a row house where it was built like 100 years ago, like 4-plex. But each unit was, you walk into the living room, you walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which has the bathroom off it. So it's not even a 1-bedroom. It's a crappy 1-bedroom. And there was a woman in there with 5 kids. She comes out and she sees all the stuff on the porch and she starts crying. Her kids come out. 2 of the older ones start crying. I start crying. And we talked about crying, and I was blubbering actually, but and I was hooked. And I'm blessed to say in the last 22 years, we've fed somewhere between 110 and 120,000 kids here in Sarasota and Bradenton. Now there's a message here. This is not me bragging. So listen up, because especially those of you that really want success, it's important. I've also, done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies to local kids. We live in the greatest country on earth. And they don't even have freaking school supplies. Don't get me started on that. I've done tens of thousands of teddy bears to local police departments so that, their officers have something to give a child to comfort that child if it's been in a traumatic, situation. And here's the thing. We've been taught to believe, many of us believe, that we have to achieve to be happy. Like we shouldn't be happy until we've achieved. But I'm going to tell you, if you give back in any fashion, you're happily achieving. And I know it's a play on words. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement is a science. If you want to learn multifamily, just come see me. I'll give you the freaking blueprint. You just got to go do it. Okay. But fulfillment is an art. Okay. You got to figure out what juices you. Like for me, it's kids, but maybe for you, it's the environment. Maybe it's the elderly. Maybe it's animals, whatever it is. Give back right now. And you may have blood dripping from your teeth. You're young. You haven't made it yet. You want this so freaking bad. And you might be saying to yourself, yeah, I'll do it when I have money. No, do it right freaking now. Why? Because you get the money faster. Okay. But that's actually not why. You don't do it for that reason, but that's what's going to happen. Okay. But you'll be happily achieving. I have guys that come on my podcast that are freaking gazillionaires that have 10,000 doors, for example. 20,000. I'll give you an example with 20,000. I remember recently has 20,000 doors, and I could tell he's like I was before I had that epiphany. And I feel sad for him because he's not successful. Okay. He's not fulfilled, and yeah, he may be successful financially, but he's not happy. And I could see it and I can sense it because it was me. So you don't be that person. Okay. You give back right now. It's, as it's a basic human need to contribute. So anyway, I'll land the plane with that, guys.
I love it. I mean,
thanks.
That's huge. I mean, I love all the mindset that you go through. I think it's super, super powerful. I'm curious, the stuff that you started talking about your foundation. Can you give us more information on the Tiny Hands Foundation?
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Every dime goes and then some. I cover all the operational expenses and a whole lot more. Every dime goes to the food or the backpacks or the teddy bears. And I contribute a ton besides just the operation expenses. And if you have an interest in donating, just text Tiny Hands to 72345. And I appreciate it. Like at $23, well, maybe it's more than that now. Christ, with inflation, it's probably $30 now to feed a family, maybe more than that. But pricing has gone up so much. But it used to be $23. A year ago, it was $23. Who the hell knows what it is now? But it doesn't take much to feed a family. It would surprise you. And we get mass discounts when we, and like last year we fed 1,500 families, probably about 5,000 kids. And so, awesome. I appreciate that very much. And it's interesting. My students, my core students, my warriors, so many of them do stuff to give back. I mean, they build schools. I was just telling you about Eric, who's doing a 170-mile walk with several of my warriors right now. And they raised 180 grand for something military related, which I freaking love and support in a big, big way. Yeah, life is about giving back, guys. Contribution is actually a basic human need. If you look at the universe, anything that doesn't contribute actually gets eliminated. Okay. So, unfortunately, in a lot of humans, it's underutilized human need, but it's there. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Stu and I talk all the time about mindset, and we just love, as you're talking, I'm just like, man, this is so, one, it's inspirational, but two, it's edifying and encouraging that we, as we're looking to start our own mastermind and what we're focused on and building, a lot of it is driven around this mindset thing and getting to a point. And one of the big things for us is the practical ways, the practical applications that help you develop that mindset. And I'm just curious, I know you gave, a breakdown of how you, get after your goals and the way to think, but what are the practical ways?
Good question. I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this. So the first thing, let me give you something that I do every morning, just as an example of one thing that I do. I'll sit in this recliner behind me. Okay. There's a recliner. It's a mess back there, but I'll sit there and you can see my vision boards on the floor there. See the vision boards? And I typically have vision boards now if I can get the screen to stay down. I have vision boards for every aspect of every goal that I have. Okay. And I used to have one that had everything, but it was too messy. So I'll be honest. I had a vision board for my wife before I met her. And she's supermodel beautiful, more beautiful on the inside than the outside. So I have manifested everything, including her, into my life. I had pictures of the emotions I was looking for in a relationship. I know that's a little foofy, but what I'll do is I'll sit in that chair and I'll do gratitude. I'll just close my eyes and I'll just be grateful. Be grateful for her. I'll be grateful for my kids, my coaching students, my foundation, and just do gratitude. But then I'm literally for a minute, 2 minutes, but then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. And sometimes I'll get emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. Okay. And I know I lost a few more, you analytical ones, but I'm telling you, this is how I had 50 million to lose. And this is how I got it back. Okay. Trust me, this shit works. Okay. And that's how you manifest this stuff. So that's one thing. That's how you get that burning desire and get aligned with the goals. But then you've got a plan. You've got to figure out what it is you want to do, whatever the vehicle is going to be. Again, if it's going to be multifamily, for God's sakes, come to my boot camp. It's ridiculously reasonable. And it's not a big sales pitch. It's just, like I said, 30 minutes about my coaching is it. The rest of all 3 days is training. And bring your A game, because I bring my A game, and it's a lot. Stu will attest to it. But the bottom line is it starts with competence. So whatever vehicle you're going to do, if it's going to be real estate, become competent. Come see me or go to YouTube University, whatever, but learn the business. And again, when I tell you timing is everything, learn it immediately because it's coming. Okay. We've already seen price drops. We were about to go under contract on a $44 million deal. And the interest rate popped. They dropped the price to 38 million. We still backed out because we know the price is going lower, and the Fed's going to raise the rates. I think it's today or tomorrow, and it could go up another 50 basis points or 0.5% interest. So it's going to be a significant hit again. They have to. Inflation is insane right now, so they have to. I'm in a lot of cash right now, but I also have access to a lot of cash because in a crisis, cash is king. So that's another thing. You come to the boot camp and I'll teach you how to pre-frame people that you meet to not be afraid when it happens so that you can capitalize on it. Because these deals take money, but it doesn't have to be your own money. You can raise the money for these deals. So don't think you have to have money to do this because you don't. You have to be able to raise money though. And that requires you to be competent because that competence will equate to your confidence, okay? And then that confidence will equate to your ability to influence people to invest with you. So super important. So, competence is the next thing. You got to learn it. You can't be a dabbler, whatever vehicle you're going to use, David. So I hope that answers that piece. So you've got to want it, then the competence, and you've got to do the goals. Whether you come to my boot camp or not, go to rodslist.com, RODSLITS, lists, LISTS. Both words plural, rodslist.com, and download that guide. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. Just go there and do. And by the way, if you're going to do it with your spouse. Sit side by side, do your goals, bring your kids in. If they're over 10 years old, have them do it. Okay. Again, so most people spend more time planning the Christmas than they do designing their lives. This is designing your life. And it's really powerful to do it. And when you and your spouse do it, then you compare notes, see if you're aligned, see if you're headed the same direction. Super important. But then you've got to create a plan, right? And I keep touting the boot camp, but regardless, if it's multifamily, we give you a 90-day action plan, so there's no guesswork. You just have to freaking do what's there. But if you do something else, just make sure you create a plan so that you're in, and that you stick with a plan. So you don't because you'll get distracted, you'll get sidetracked, and this keeps you on track. And then it's massive freaking action. Action mitigates fear. Action is the biggest thing you can do. I love that line, massive freaking action. That's it. Success is inevitable. Yeah. Are you going to get your nose bloodied? Are you going to get your butt kicked? Sure. But if you stay focused on your goal and one approach doesn't work, you hit a wall, you change your approach and stay focused on that goal. And if that doesn't work, you change your approach and you stay focused on that goal. And if that doesn't work, you change your approach and stay focused on that goal. I hope you get the message. Bottom line is you stay focused on that freaking goal, and success is inevitable.
Yeah, I love that. I love the mindset, but also the action, right? Because you have to, at some point, you have to translate into doing something.
You have to do it. You have to do it. And it'll be scary, and that's okay. It's okay. Everybody started where you did. If you're brand new, everybody. And so you just have to do, myself included, you just have to do it.
That's good, man. Well, Rod, I know you have another meeting. You're a busy man, and we love these podcasts because we just get an hour full of mentorship for our own.
Oh, thanks,
good,
buddy. Thanks.
We really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you having me on a lot, and I appreciate you letting me mention the boot camp. And by the way, guys, if you have any interest in this business, even if you can't make the boot camp, if you go to rodslist.com, lists plural.com, tons of free stuff there. You can get my free book, my number one bestseller in multiple categories that people rave about. If you want the actual book itself, you pay for shipping. It's like $6-7. But lots of other free books there as well. You got the goal setting guide. So link to my boot camp there. There's also link to my podcast there, and I hope you'll check it out, even if you're not interested in multifamily, because like I said, the Own Your Power clips are very powerful. It's called Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm very proud of it. But thanks again for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Rod. And we'll put all those links in the show notes. Thanks, hey, come to Denver. I mean, Denver itself is awesome. David and I are here, and we love it. And come learn about multifamily. Come to his boot camp. It's really powerful stuff. And
I better see you two there. By God, I told you, you come as my guest. You can come as my guest. So
all right, sounds good.
Yeah,
sounds good, man.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks, guys and gals. Hey, share this podcast episode. Give us 5-star reviews. We greatly appreciate it. Check out Rod's boot camp, and most importantly, go fill your storehouse.
Hey, Rod, before we sign off, just want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you for your energy, your passion for others. And I just love the fact, just want to encourage you that, even if people aren't going and necessarily doing the deals or doing, multifamily or their focus, I think just the gifts and the nuggets and the gold for the mindset and the advice on how to think differently and change the way that we approach life with gratitude and with love and outward focus. I mean, these things are just pure gold. And yet you mentioned a couple of times it's kind of touchy feely. I think it's completely powerful. I think it's as powerful as a freaking hammer. And I'm just so grateful that you mentioned it. So, grateful for just all the lives that you're touching and influencing and impacting. So thank you for your time. Thanks, you for being here with us, and
thanks.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Go check out Rod. Have a great day. See you.
Thanks for listening to Filling the Storehouse. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe and share it with someone you love. And if you really felt inspired, leave a 5-star review so we could continue to grow and help other Christian venturepreneurs fill their storehouse. If you're interested in creating financial freedom through real estate investing, be sure to check out our website at storehouse310turnkey.com. We'd love to serve you through our platform of building the kingdom. Just click on the contact link and we'll reply to you as soon as we can. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go fill your storehouse and make it a great day.